Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most daring and explosive developments in the ongoing war between Ukraine and Russia. Ukraine's bold strike that left the Crimea Bridge in ruins. This is not just another attack in a long and brutal conflict. This is a symbolic and strategic blow that shakes the very core of Russia's control over Crimea. Stay tuned, because what happened on that bridge has the potential to redefine the war itself. The Crimea Bridge, or the Kerch Bridge as it's officially known, has always been more than just steel and concrete. It's a symbol of Russia's annexation of Crimea in 1924, a showpiece of power connecting the Russian mainland to the occupied peninsula. For Moscow, it represents dominance. For Ukraine, it's a reminder of loss and resistance. And now, that bridge is in ruins once again. Smoke, fire, and chaos spreading across one of the most heavily guarded structures in the region. The early hours of the morning were shattered by a thunderous explosion. Reports began flooding in. A massive blast had rocked the Crimea Bridge. Videos soon followed. Parts of the road section collapsed, flames rising high into the night sky, debris scattered over the water below. Russian state media scrambled to control the narrative, claiming the situation was under control. But the footage told a different story, a story of destruction, precision, and defiance. Ukraine has neither fully confirmed nor denied responsibility. As usual. But behind closed doors and through anonymous sources, it's clear. This was a planned, targeted operation. A strike designed not just to damage infrastructure, but to send a message. The message was simple and sharp. Crimea is not safe, and Russia's hold over it is slipping. For months, Ukrainian intelligence and military planners have been working toward operations that go beyond the front lines, deep into Russian-held territory. The Crimea Bridge is heavily protected, both physically and digitally. Russia has anti-air systems, patrol boats, electronic jammers, and constant surveillance. Yet somehow, Ukraine's forces managed to bypass all that, whether it was drones, sea-borne explosives, or a combination of tactics. It was executed with surgical precision. What makes this strike so significant isn't just the damage to the bridge itself, but what it represents in the broader war effort. The Crimea Bridge is Russia's primary supply route into southern Ukraine, a vital lifeline for moving troops, ammunition, and fuel. Disrupting it cripples logistics and forces Russia to find slower, riskier alternatives. It weakens their defense lines and puts pressure on their forces already stretched thin across multiple fronts. But beyond the military impact, there's the psychological blow. The Kremlin had spent years portraying Crimea as a fortress, untouchable and secure. Russian tourists drove across the bridge proudly, believing they were on Russian soil forever. Now, the illusion of safety is shattered. The images of the burning bridge have circulated across Russian social media, and no amount of censorship can fully erase them. It's a visual reminder that nowhere under occupation is beyond reach. This is not the first time Ukraine has targeted the bridge. In October 2022, a massive explosion destroyed part of it, leading to temporary closures and major repairs. At the time, Putin responded with a wave of missile strikes across Ukraine, hitting power plants and cities far from the front lines. But this new strike comes at a different moment, when Russia's war machine is showing cracks, when domestic discontent is growing, and when the international community is watching closely for signs of escalation. Putin called the previous attack a terrorist act. He might do so again. But to Ukraine, it's an act of liberation, a message to its citizens and soldiers that their fight is far from over. Every hit on Russian infrastructure deepens the narrative that the invaders' grip is loosening. And while Moscow may promise swift retaliation, the truth is that each strike inside Crimea chips away at the myth of Russian invincibility. Satellite imagery now shows the extent of the damage. Sections of the bridge's road surface have collapsed into the water, while the railway line appears scorched and unusable. Russian repair teams rushed to the site, working under tight security, but rebuilding such a massive structure, especially under threat of future strikes, is not easy. Logistics are complicated, the materials are scarce, and the risk remains high. Every repair effort becomes a gamble. For Ukraine, timing is everything. This strike comes as Kiev's counteroffensive seeks to regain momentum. The world has watched Ukrainian forces push against deeply entrenched Russian positions in the east and south. Progress has been slow, but determined. And while the front lines may move only meters at a time, attacks like this on the Crimea Bridge send shockwaves that travel far beyond the battlefield. It's psychological warfare at its finest, breaking morale, undermining confidence, and shifting the narrative. Russia wants to project strength. Ukraine wants to expose weakness. And in this battle of perception, a single fiery explosion can have more impact than 100 smaller victories on the ground. What's particularly interesting is the precision and intelligence behind these operations. Ukraine's military is adapting at a pace rarely seen in modern warfare, integrating new technologies, drone swarms, satellite intelligence, and Western support to strike targets once considered impossible. The bridge wasn't just a random hit. It was studied, mapped, and executed with near-perfect accuracy. Behind the scenes, this also shows how deeply coordinated Ukraine with its Western effort has become with its Western allies. While no foreign military directly assists in such strikes, intelligence sharing, surveillance data, and technological cooperation have made Ukraine's operations sharper and more daring. The message to Russia is not only from Ukraine, but from the collective force supporting it. And for the people of Crimea, this attack sends mixed emotions. Many who quietly oppose Russian rule see hope, the idea that liberation might be closer than they thought. But others live in fear of what comes next. Every explosion brings uncertainty. Every night feels longer. For them, the bridge represented connection. Now it's a symbol of division and danger. As for Moscow, the propaganda machine is in full swing. State TV hosts denounce the attack as barbaric, calling for vengeance. But even among the Russian public, questions are being asked. How could such a heavily guarded structure be hit again? Where were the defenses? Why can't the mighty Russian military stop these strikes? These are questions that the Kremlin does not like but cannot silence completely. Internationally, the reactions are cautious but telling. Western nations acknowledge the strategic value of such strikes while officially remaining silent on whether they supported them. Meanwhile, countries sympathetic to Russia call for restraint, though their voices sound increasingly hollow. The reality is clear. Ukraine is taking the fight deep into occupied territory, and Russia's empire is trembling under the pressure. This event also reignites the conversation about Crimea's future. Can Russia hold on to it indefinitely, or is Ukraine slowly setting the stage for a major push to reclaim it? Every bridge strike, every drone hit, every port explosion brings that question closer to the surface. Ukraine's leaders have made it clear. Crimea is not negotiable, it's part of Ukraine, and it will be taken back. From a strategic perspective, this strike could mark a turning point. By targeting supply routes, Ukraine forces Russia to spread its defenses thin, diverting attention from other critical fronts. It's like a chess game. Each move forces a counter, and each counter exposes new vulnerabilities. Ukraine may not have the same firepower as Russia, but it's using intelligence, adaptability, and creativity to level the playing field. The sound of that explosion over the Kerch Strait will echo for a long time. It represents defiance in the face of overwhelming odds. It's a reminder that even the most powerful regimes can bleed. For Ukrainians, it's fuel, a surge of pride and resilience that keeps their spirit alive through dark and difficult times. But there's also a grim reality beneath the symbolism. Every escalation risks retaliation. Every attack brings the possibility of civilian casualties, of wider strikes, of intensified warfare. The balance between resistance and survival is razor thin, yet Ukraine continues to walk that line with unwavering determination. As night falls over Crimea, the smoke from the bridge still hangs in the air. Russian convoys are rerouting, panic spreading through logistics channels. The military chatter on open frequencies reveals disarray, confusion about how to maintain supply flow to the southern front. These are small cracks, but cracks that can widen quickly. Meanwhile, in Kiev, there's quiet satisfaction. Officials won't celebrate openly, but the symbolism is undeniable. The bridge that once stood as a monument to occupation is now a monument to defiance. And for every Ukrainian soldier, every family separated by war, every citizen living under sirens, that image means something powerful. Hope. The war is far from over. Russia will retaliate, as it always does. Missiles will fly, and innocent lives will be caught in the crossfire. But the pattern is shifting. Ukraine is not just surviving, it's striking back. Smarter and harder each time. The destruction of the Crimea Bridge is proof that no fortress is truly safe. For Vladimir Putin, this is more than a military setback. It's a blow to his image, to the illusion of control he's tried to maintain. He built that bridge as a personal triumph, inaugurated it himself, and even drove across it in a show of dominance. To see it burn again is to see his narrative unravel. And the world is watching. Every major news outlet, every intelligence agency, every government sees the implications. Ukraine's message has been delivered loud and clear. The war is not confined to the trenches. It's a battle of symbols, of will, of endurance. So, as the dust settles over the Kerch Strait, the question lingers. What comes next? Will Ukraine attempt another strike? Will Russia harden its defenses or retaliate with overwhelming force? One thing is certain. The war has entered a new phase, and both sides know it. This isn't just a fight over land anymore. It's a fight over legitimacy, over history, over truth itself. And in this fight, images matter as much as missiles. The image of that burning bridge will stay etched in memory. A symbol of resistance, courage, and the relentless pursuit of freedom. Ukraine's bold strike on the Crimea Bridge is a declaration. The occupied will not stay silent. The oppressed will not give up. And the bridge that once connected tyranny to stolen land now stands as a scar. A scar that reminds the world what happens when you underestimate a nation's will to fight. As the war rages on, one thing becomes clear. Ukraine is not just defending territory. It's defending the idea of freedom itself. And freedom, once awakened, is not easily silenced. The ruins of the Crimea Bridge are not just rubble. They are a message written in fire. A message that says, the fight for liberation continues, and no wall, no bridge, no force of empire can stop it. Thank you for watching. Stay strong, stay informed, and remember, history is unfolding before our eyes. If you found this breakdown insightful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your spirit unbroken.